Samuel. I'm the president of Elephants DC. I flew in from California today. Yesterday, the California Committee on Environment in the State Assembly advanced a measure with a 5% antique exemption and advanced to the Appropriations Committee. Thank you for the opportunity to speak here, Chairman Kennedy and Chairman Alvis. Elephants and rhinos are incredible ancient keystone species whose numbers have plundered. About 32 elephants have been slaughtered since the hearing began at 1 p.m. today. The unspoken truth is that ivory in all forms, raw and carved, fails to serve the greater good of this planet. The ivory trade and wildlife crime is nefarious. According to the Departments of Justice, State, and the Department of Interior, as well as the Senate Committee on Foreign Relations, and the President of the United States of America, ivory funds terrorists and transnational criminals, destabilizes global stability, threatens American security, and destroys ecosystems by robbing future generations of all nations the right to grow up in a world where elephants still exist. Elephants are being poached faster than they can procreate. National Geographic has reported that 100,000 elephants were slaughtered between 2010 and 2012. More than 35,000 elephants were butchered in 2014 last year. That's 96 a day, has been said, one every 15 minutes. Poachers, including militias armed with AK-47s, invade nations like Gabon and Botswana to kill elephants. These terrorist groups range in names such as Al-Shabaab, the Lord's Resistance Army, Boko Haram, and Janjaweed. But they all have one thing in common. They also kill people. Since 9/11, America has taken a very strong stance in our security. Ending the ivory trade is no exception. The U.S. is the second largest consumer of ivory after China. It is very difficult for the most sophisticated laboratories in the world to tell the difference between new ivory and antique ivory. That's because illegal ivory hides behind the guise of legality. It hides behind the guise of antiques, bona fide antiques, mammoth bone, and even jewelry. And ivory is not art. Art creates, it does not destroy. Every piece of ivory that you see represents one dead elephant. 200 years ago, there were 20 million elephants on this planet. Now there's less than 300,000. 100 years ago, it went to 10 million. So we will wipe out this species if we don't give up the commercial trade. That is what's at stake. And I urge you all to be on the right side of history for future generations and to do what the children would ask you. They don't care about a room full of carved ivory. That's not history to them. History is you taking this moment and passing a complete ban, executed in New Jersey, to turn our back to this nefarious trade that is funding terrorism. For the children, please ban ivory sales. And people can continue to possess ivory. They can inherit it under the President's National Strategy on Combating Wildlife Trafficking issued last February. The ivory has already been devalued in this country. And as Dan Ash, the director of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife, said last year, the goal is for ivory to have value on the elephants. I was a part of the New Jersey ban. So if you have any questions about that or how it's been implemented in terms of musical stores, etc., I'm happy to do that. I do urge no ivory carve-out for commercial trade. And also regarding Mr. Liberton that was here earlier, the great treasure and the true heritage of every child in Connecticut is to grow up in a world where elephants still exist, not a room full of gruesome objects created from the death of one of the most intelligent species on the planet. Thank you.
Thank you for your passion. Yes, we have a number of questions here. I'll begin with you, Representative Minor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So in terms of the ban in New Jersey, was it kind of the raw object, or did it include artwork?
The ban in New Jersey is a complete domestic ban, so what's allowed federally can still continue, and museums are actually allowed to trade, but they are not allowed to turn that commercial profit. In terms of the raw and cars, the lawmakers in New Jersey, led by a Democrat, Raymond Lesniak, in the Senate, who got unanimous support for the complete ban. Freshman lawmaker Roz McCurdy in the Assembly, he got 76 votes and only 2 no's, and then it was signed by the Republican governor, Chris Christie. Total bipartisan effort with New Jersey, which is also one of the most regulated states in the union, as you probably know. They decided they wanted no part in this nefarious trade, and Christie's legal counsel also said they're not going to put their head in the sand because they know it's causing extinction of this great species, and so it's trying to serve walking this time. They're family-oriented, they never separate. And it's really tragic, trying to get humanity what's happening for the future generation.
Well, thank you. What I'm trying to understand is, I mean, we've heard some testimony today about what the effect might be. Do we know yet what the effect has been in terms of impact on people's collection monetarily? Are they frozen in place under the New Jersey law, or?
So the ivory's been devalued in New Jersey by banning the commercial trade. We have called most of, if not all of the music businesses in New Jersey who sell pianos, and we asked them how they, the bill went into full effect February 5th. We said, are you guys compliant? And they said there was, I'm not going to say what the New Jersey has said, but a pain in me, but we're now fully compliant, and the music has never stopped either. Billy Joel said that music should never be used as an instrument for death. So it's very clear to play piano. I play piano. I think a Steinway without piano keys is great. And so now they are no longer purchasing antique keys from the marketplace, which perpetuates the demand for the 96 elephants to be slaughtered a day, and that equates to about 32 elephants slaughtered since this hearing began at 1 p.m. So it's really great that by ending this commercial trade, the demand stops. And it's also an idolatry. I mean, there's a worship of something that belongs to another species as if it's ours, but elephants aren't a commodity. They're a keystone species. They propagate 90 different seeds in the forest. Since 2008, when the global ban was lifted, the forest elephants have been decimated by 65%, and there's now a drought in the second largest rainforest in the world.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman. Sorry, I was just trying to get a sense of if we were to enact this law, whether
I know what you were driving at.
I mean, I just wanted to know, was there an impact? Is there something in terms of people's lives, their businesses? Do we know whether or not there has been a quantifiable shift in value for which someone might be diminished? I guess that's what I mean, because
that happened with the federal. That's a great question. And
so,
okay.
Trying to get through this. So, if we pass a law on October 1st and say that as of January 1st, there is no more trade in a commodity, I'm curious, and maybe you don't have this and maybe you can get it for me, what the impact might be. So if someone has some inventory with a certain value, it doesn't just, they don't just keep it. If they intended to buy it to resell it, if they're a business, they're going to move it somewhere. Or did they keep it? Was it frozen in place?
It's a mixture, because under constitutional law, if any state bans a commodity, there must be a 6-month period where people can sell their product. We do know for a fact that some antique owners that were looking to sell and get rid of their product, that they had a hard time because of the new federal restrictions issued by President Obama last year. The onus is now on the owner, and lots of people do not have the proper export or import certificate proving that ivory item is an antique. And what's actually happening is innocent Americans are thinking they're buying something old, and it's not. As Martha said earlier, it's turning a $23 billion legal profit. So the people that are doing this internationally are quite good at making the ivory look old, and they basically tarnish it, and it really is all over the marketplace. And then at that point, you've lost.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Representative Case, did you have a question?
I had a question, just a real quick one.
All right, a quick one.
Okay. I just wanted to thank her for her very passionate testimony, and it was good to hear. My concern is, and I think, like I said before, we'll have more discussions on this, but my concern is what we have now today in the devaluing of someone's estate and people who have this. And I agree with you on stopping what's going on out there now, but it's the devaluing of what somebody's personal property is right now, and I think that's a larger discussion that we have to have and how we work that. And I think if we find out from other states what it has done, we would be better off, because I think you sort of asked that before, Senator.
No, I agree with you. I think it'd be good to find out what the impact has been on other states that have already enacted this ban that you're asking us to do. So I think that's a good question, Representative Kane.
Thank you, and I'm finished.
So may I answer your question? So it's a devaluing of the ivory, yes, because we want the recognition that the ivory belongs to the elephants, and and that's the goal. We're going to save them from extinction, and we have to stop the funding of bad actors that kill people who butcher these elephants for their tusks. And this is a galvanizing movement. I do urge you to follow suit. If you must have exemptions added, to limit it to the museums, and please also include a clause that would put the onus on the owner of the antique that is bona fide, because we found out in the New York State Assembly, they had a hearing on this last January 16th, that in New York anyone can be an appraiser. You don't have to go to special school, and anyone can say, print out a form that says this is antique. So that's not necessarily the high-end museums, but that is a lot of people turning a profit off of this. And the federal government, the Justice Department, has done several significant busts from Miami to Philadelphia to New York, and also it's gone across the border in Canada. And this is a galvanizing movement. We have bans introduced in Hawaii, Massachusetts, Colorado, Florida, California is pressing, and Vermont, your neighbor to the north, has introduced a full domestic ivory and rhino horn sales ban, and we are confident that we'll go forward in the Republic of Vermont.
Questions? Representative Carney, did you have a question?
Sure, just real quick. Thank you very much for your testimony. I actually agreed with a lot of what you said, and I have seen elephants killed for this purpose, and it really is, well, on a video, and it truly is devastating. My question, though, is, you know, we're talking a lot about, I was actually very surprised this was even something we had to legislate. I thought it was already banned, but my question, I guess, is there anything currently being done at the source of the problem? Because we put these bans in effect, there's always a black market. So is there anything really being done to the source of the problem in those nations in Africa?
That's a great question, and yes, there is a lot of work being done. Our federal government is there. They're aware of some of these very heinous actors from the South Sudan, from the Al-Qaeda affiliate Al-Shabaab, who just slaughtered 6 elephants in Savo, which is eastern Kenya. So there's a couple things that happen. We support NGOs on the ground, help build local communities. My organization is going to Gabon, where it's home to the largest remaining forest elephants in the world. But there's misinformation from the villagers that there's more elephants because they're actually fleeing poachers from in nearby borders of neighboring countries. So it's about educating the youth, and also for us, banning the ivory trade. This is a global movement, and we do feel that a few antique and small industry businesses, and I'm sorry Connecticut is home to many of them, but we do feel it's on the wrong side of history, and the ivory trade will end. It's either the end of the elephants or we end the trade. So we feel to curb this, ultimately, we must stop the demand. And as Richie Leakey said, who Angelina Jolie is now doing a movie on his life, states and cities should take action to ban ivory sales. It's the only way to save the species, and that's a sentiment shared across the world. And for those that bought ivory and invested, it was a bad investment. I mean, people lost a lot of money in 2008. A lot of people feel that buying ivory was a bad investment, and that doesn't justify the extinction of a beloved species. And E is for elephant, not extinction.
Thank you. Other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.